What is up, daddies? Right now we're going to talk about Season 5, Episode 15, Try. And that means spoilers for anything before that on the show and in the comic books up to issue 138 right here, this one. If you're not up to date on that, we're going to be talking about a lot about what happens in the comics. So you've been warned. I don't feel bad if I spoil you anymore. Anyway, so looks like we're going to have a little conflict between Peter Anderson and Rick. Surprise! Yes, I have talked about this before when I did our introductory video for Peter and Jesse. But now that we're really getting into it in the show, I think that that's a good topic to talk about. How's it going to go? How did it go in the comics? So in the comics, Rick finds out that Peter is abusing his wife and son. He's a bad husband. And I think there's a touch of jealousy from Rick that this guy still has his family and, he's wasting it. Rick lost his family. And there wasn't the little bitter goodbye to Lori. It was all... there was nothing bad. There's no bad blood between them in the comics. So we find now Rick wants to kill Pete. Him and Carol had that discussion at the end of the last episode. Is he going to do it? Well, I'll tell you how it went in the comics. In the comics, Rick goes after Peter. He just goes in the front door. Pete's like, "What do you want?" And Rick just says, "Hello, I'm here to beat you up and kill you." Rick's a badass. So, basically, I think what's going to happen is Rick is going to go to Deanna, much like he does to Douglas in the comics, Deanna's comic book counterpart, the leader of Alexandria, before this punch in the face goes down. And he says, Peter has to choose between exile or death. He's not a good person. He doesn't belong in this community. Is that going to happen in the show? Yes, I believe it will. I believe it will happen this week. Do I think he's going to punch Pete in the face? Yes, I believe it will happen this week. How did it end in the comics? Well, Michonne goes up to Rick and hits him in the back of the head with a rock. So maybe Michonne's going to knock Rick out in the show. Probably also going to happen. Then there's what happens after that. How does this resolve? Because it's not going to just end with a punch in the face, right? Correct. So Rick goes up to Pete. Okay, ahead of myself. Sorry. They're at a funeral, and this is after Peter moves out of the house. Jesse kicks him out, and he starts losing his mind. He's by himself. He doesn't show up in the community. So he shows up to the funeral. It's the first time he goes out in public in the safe zone for a while. And so he wants to kill Rick at the funeral. He pulls a knife out. He's ready to kill him. And Regina, who is replaced by Reg. Regina is Douglas's wife in the comics. Reg is Deanna's husband in the TV show. Regina goes to stop Peter from killing Rick because Rick is a good guy and a good leader, and the safe zone, the cowards that they are, that we've seen them be, look at what happened last week. They need survivors like Rick in the group. So Regina steps in to stop Peter from killing Rick, and in return for trying to save Rick, gets her throat slit. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This stuff gets me too excited. So Peter slits Regina's throat in the comic books, and ultimately that leads to Douglas okaying Rick to kill Pete. So that means Rick can do that, because Rick has to follow Douglas's rules. So in the comics, in the TV show rather, I think that Peter's going to show up, maybe at Aiden's funeral, maybe at Noah's funeral, and try to kill Rick and kill Reg and ultimately die himself. Do I think it's going to happen this week? No, I don't. I think it'll happen in the season finale. What is the importance of this? Well, I'll tell you that too, of course. This leads to the DC scavengers coming to attack. They hear the gunshot and they're like, "What is that?" So they lead themselves to the safe zone. They show up at the gate and they're like, "Yo, let us in." Well, we know how that's going to go for them. Andrea's up in the bell tower. No, it's going to be Sasha. That's a replacement because Andrea died in the show. What else does it mean? It means Douglas steps down from being a leader because he's depressed and realizes he can't handle it. Will Deanna step down from being a leader? Probably. It could be not because her husband dies, but because her son died. She could become depressed and realize Rick is a better leader than her. Who knows? So that's how it went in the comics. That's what's up for us next on the show. I don't think that Peter is going to die in the Try episode, Season 5, Episode 15 of The Walking Dead. I think it's going to be drawn out to the season finale, which means no Negan for a while, so stop asking. Just kidding. I want to see him too. Anyway, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll try to address them. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news, interviews, and clips, and follow us on Twitter at Comicbook.com for all your Walking Dead news and everything else that you're probably interested in to stay up to date in the meantime. supplies from them all. But point is, her husband's name is Reg, so it's the same character. It's going to be the same thing, just a female version with a different name, which is fine. Also, a congressman